Checked out too on that.
Mary's like,
Well, she has no vowels.
no, there's a
Yeah, it's just like,
sometimes it's about
Helmer's told me his first day with you, he was like, okay, I'm going to try to, and he goes, Mary Prismus, and you're like, Prismus. He goes, so he told me ahead of time, he goes, it's Prismus. I was like, that's Prismus? I said, okay. No. P-R-Y-Z. It's not even P-R?
It's PR.
P-R-Z-Y.
P-R-Z-Y. It's P-R-Z-Y-B-Y-S.
It's P-R-Z-Y? Yeah, that's not Priz. That's Precision Business.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not a problem. It's just and I just kept it.
I'm not good.
What?
It is your I know you just don't want to. It's Mindy.
All right, guys, so this is your last assignment sheet for me. It's going to take us to the finish line. Now, look, you'll notice it says we have a 5-day exam review. And it also says we're going to take our test over 2 days. So obviously we have a little bit of room to play with. There's a good chance that I will kind of feeling some signs of it now. May come up with something on some afternoon on a Friday. There's also a chance that and also there's at least one day. Yeah, there's a really good chance that we'll be able to get a kickball morning in.
Yes.
We might just get here and start at 7:30 to get a full game in. Yeah. Maybe Panera can be our sponsor. You know, week old bagels. Hey guys, can I have your attention? None of you guys will be in here on the 10th. So I know it says review of finance and definitions, but literally all of you are in AP 11. So nobody will even be here that day. So I said review. So there's a really good, and then there's also a day where a lot of you are out. Like I think 5 of you are out on that Friday. And it says I have a financial info talk. So if that looks like, I don't know, I'm going to be very fluid with this schedule is what I'm saying. All right. So if we are off a day, like I might say since a lot of you are out for AP Euro, I might just say, you know what? I'm just going to give you your exam review sheets early. I'm trying to get those copied, but we've had some major copier issues. But if I can get those copied, maybe we'll just take next Friday so you AP Euro people won't miss anything, and we'll just start a little exam review. So know that this is going to fluctuate a good bit, probably. No worries. All right, it'll be fluid. And if you miss something, I'm happy to talk about something again. I'm kind of talking slowly, intentionally, because we have so many people missing. But anyway, I'm going to talk today and tomorrow about a lot of basic ideas when it comes to finance. I never really have an overall plan. I'm not kidding. I usually just start opening my mouth and words come out, and I really don't even remember what I said. So I'm going to kind of do that. And then as we head into some other things, I'll be a little bit more focused on what I'm trying to show you. But I really do want, how many parents of yours have actually had a conversation with you about finance, money, like who really are intentional? You've had a couple? And when I say money, talked about how, hey, this is the percentage of income that we put towards retirement, or this is what we have our investments in. Okay, that's fantastic. Most parents don't, and here's my theory. And I was a little bit like this, but both of my kids came through my class, so they got this conversation. Well, 2 of my 3 kids came through this class. 1 didn't go here. But they don't want you to know what they have, because then you start getting entitled. You're like, whoa, Mom and Dad, you got $6 million packed away? Why am I driving this crappy Civic? Or whatever. If you drive a Civic, no disrespect to your Civic. In fact, I value those 39, 40 miles a gallon you're getting in the city. It is a good car. Anyway, my point is, if you haven't had that conversation, it would have been great if you did. And maybe it's a situation where they don't want you to know because they're in a struggling area or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But I want you to have a glimpse of what to do the moment you retire, the moment you shake hands with somebody for your first job, and have a plan. Because honestly, I am not retiring at 54 because I was a doctor and made zillions of dollars my whole life. I'm retiring at 54 and have the luxury of that for a number of reasons, but one of them is I just haven't been stupid with my money, and and there's nothing wrong with golfing, but I don't golf once or twice a week like my friends. I don't go to Italy for 22 grand like some of my friends do. I don't do those things. I don't drive a brand new Lexus or whatever. My wife drives a nice car. We have made a lot of choices to put us in the position to have the freedom at 54 to go, you know what? I've got a nice little pension. I can walk away from that and maybe do some of the things I really want to do. And listen, there's no way I'm going to curl up into a ball at my house at 54. I have too many itches that need to be scratched for that. I mean, I might take 6 months off. I might even take a year off, but there's no way I honestly think I would probably get sick and die if I just sat around the house and did nothing but nag my wife. That is not who I am. But the point is, I have put my wife and I put ourselves in a situation to be able to make some of those choices. And it wasn't because she was an artist who does pretty well now. I mean, she does do pretty well now, but for the vast majority of our lives was making anywhere from 10 to 30 grand a year, which is nothing, right? Now she's in a position where now she's actually doing pretty well. But point is, we've been very wise. So I want to show you how, regardless of your career choices, you can be wise, and it doesn't take what you think it does. Most people think you need to make tons of money to retire wealthy. You don't. You have to be smart with your money to retire wealthy. In fact, when my brother, who we were talking about him a little bit earlier, who is a really wealthy guy, and he has a lot of extravagant things, but the guy will go into a grocery store and complain about the price of chips. And you're like, how does a guy worth that much money? Because he doesn't waste his money. And when he buys an exotic car, it's an investment grade vehicle that most of the time he ends up selling or has the ability to sell for more than he bought it for. When he buys a property, he doesn't buy a property he did buy one that was actually pretty awesome. But he normally doesn't buy properties that you walk into and go, this is awesome. You don't think that. But he buys them for $1.2 million, and now they're worth $7.5 million. So those kinds of things he does, they're not necessarily sexy moves, but they're smart moves. And I'm always telling him, well, I don't talk too much anymore again because he's estranged himself from the world. But I've always told him, dude, why don't you make wise decisions, but make one really fun decision for you? Because it's not what, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, why don't you do one where when you walk in there, you're like, and the irony is he probably does that about all his places because to him is how much money he's made off it as opposed to how beautiful it could be, or whatever. Point is, I want to show you how to put yourself in that position. And it doesn't happen overnight. It really doesn't. So just to give you a glimpse of it, I'm going to show you something that you do know. Okay. I'm going to show you something that you do know and just give you a small vision for it. Okay. When do you anticipate graduating from college?
In 5 years.
So in 5 years, you would be approximately 22. Now, some of you might go to med school. And if you go to med school, that's a residency of I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years. If you're a specialist like a heart surgeon, it might be 8 or 10. I don't know. Point is, even in a residency, most residents make more than most school teachers. You know, they talk about how, yeah, you're in residency and you're barely making any money. I'm like, yeah, welcome to public education. So even in your residency, where you don't have any time to spend your money. I mean, you're working 10, 12-hour shifts all the time. You're an other doctor's slave, or literally that entire time. You don't have time to go and be extravagant. You're wearing scrubs 24/7. You're lucky to get a shower. Those are the things, those are times that you can still be putting money away. Maybe not extravagantly, but you can still be putting money away. So from the time you're 22, I just want to give you a glimpse at what you all know, exponential growth, right? So let's just say you're at 22 here, and the normal age of retirement is roughly mid-60s. That's probably when my dad had 2 full careers, a 28-year career in the military that he did till he was 50. Then he was actually in public education for 13 years, where he had this really unique gig where there was a magnet program in an inner city school in Phoenix where you could get your pilot's license. And as an ex-military guy who had a pilot, he went in there, and it was such a specialist field. I mean, it was really hard to get a guy who wanted to teach flight school to high school punks in an inner city school. But my dad was kind of a son of a gun. But anyway, he went in and he was like, I'll do it. But they paid him like he was had a doctorate degree with 30 years. So they paid him at the top of the pay scale for 13 years. So he's actually got the sickest retirement package of anybody. He's like got a colonel in the military, and he actually found a loophole, has a 30-year retirement plan in public education. But he retired, I think, at age 62 or 3 full-time. So let's just say your window is 63. That gives you a 40, make it 62, a nice even number. 62 years old. And for those of you who are like 62, I'll be old as dirt. I'm 54. I mean, I saw a picture of my dad at 82 the other day, and I'm like, I looked at him, I was like, dude, he actually looks really old. My sister snapped a picture of him and my mom holding hands. And they were just old. They're still very healthy, and they have 2 houses and travel back and forth and live a pretty fun little life. But the point is, you're not dried up and dead when you're 62. You will have a lot of years left in you, the vast majority of you, minus, unfortunately, statistics, somebody gets sick or whatever. Hopefully that's none of you.
It's you, Luke.
Hey, listen. Life is real. I've had multiple of my friends they're survivors, but they've had cancer in their 50s and one in their 40s. I mean, unfortunately, stuff happens. Hopefully it's not you.
But if it is, invest well. You only got 30 years.
Here's the great thing. I kid my wife. I'm like, if I die tomorrow, it's like, that's been a great retirement plan for you, because I've saved all this money for you, and then I'm never going to spend it.
Finance degree also makes you a cynic. Let's go.
That's right. Here we go. Let me just give you a glimpse of why it's so important for you, and then we'll get into some of the math and stuff and that conversation. Why it's so important to you that on day one, you sign that contract, you walk down to the accounting department or the bookkeeper, and you say, I want to fully fund whether it's a 401k, whatever it is the company does, it's a retirement plan. And a retirement plan, really, just so you might have heard that word 401k before, or 403b, or Roth IRA. We'll talk about all those things. But if you haven't, no worries. This would be great for you. There's really no difference in taking your money and buying stocks and making an investment that way. And stocks are basically, you're buying the idea of a company, a piece of a company. And as that company grows and produces, your stock grows and produces. And sometimes they give you dividends, which are like, hey, thanks for owning our stock. Here's $2 a share or whatever. But you get earnings sometimes that way, or your stock grows. I have bought stock for $69 a share that now is worth $432 a share. That's significant growth. Okay. And if you buy 1,000 of those, do the math. That's a lot of growth and a lot of money that you've made. So the point is, a lot of people invest in stocks. Back in the day where interest rates were higher, you could buy bonds. I used to have bonds that paid me 8% a year. We'll talk about bonds as well. But all these ways are ways to invest your money, since you might not own a business. Some of you might go, you know what? I'm kind of an entrepreneurial minded guy. I want to create a business for myself. You might put all of your money into your business, which is great if you have a good product or you're a good business person. Because if you do that, you're not depending on somebody else to grow your money for you. You can work hard and grow your company yourself. And there are tons of people who do that. Like Ashley Mack, her and her husband, Andy, she was just cooking and her friends were like, this food is so freaking awesome. I remember eating her little sausage balls at a party before she ever started her company. I was like, I hate sausage balls. These are money. And she just got tired of people saying, why don't you do this for a living? And she's like, why don't I do it for a living? Started up a little place, and now she's got places all over Birmingham and is very giving to the community, hires people off the streets that have come through programs. Fantastic company. I encourage you to support Ashley Max. Anyway,
What's it called?
Ashley Max. It's kind of, dudes are always like, it's kind of girly, man, but it actually is pretty good. Anyways. So anyway, point is, let's just say you decided you wanted to invest. You could put that in a retirement fund or you could invest it separately. You can buy the same stocks in both. Now, they're not going to let you invest in your retirement fund in really sketchy stuff, okay? Because it's a retirement fund. They want stability there. So you can't go in there and go, yeah, I got this guy who's a loan shark and I like his company. No, but you can invest in like things that you can buy and sell over in the market, like Apple or Cisco or JDS Uniphase or whatever companies you like. You can do that in a retirement fund or as just a regular stock. But here's the thing about a retirement fund. In a retirement fund, when you put it in there, which is what I suggest you do the minimum of, at least do that. If you invest that way, there's two ways to do it, depending on the fund or the kind. And we'll talk about all this later. You can either pay your taxes now, like, they take taxes out if you've got a job. They take out FICA, which is Social Security, and then your state and your federal, whatever, and then you get what's left over. All right. You could invest money after you pay taxes in a retirement fund like a Roth IRA, and the money you put in there, as it grows, the growth never gets taxed again, which is great. You pay taxes on the front end, but then when it grows, at the end of time, you'll have this big lump sum, and you can use that money, and you don't have to pay taxes on it. Or if you're making a lot of money and say you're in a high tax bracket and you're like, man, I'm paying 40% of what I make into taxes. You can invest in the retirement fund early, which is what most companies do. You invest before you pay taxes. So you skip. We'll do a whole day on this. So you skip the taxes part on the front end and put it in there. And as it grows, when you finally use it later and pull the money out to spend it, you'll pay tax on the growth. But here's the upside of that. You'll be retired. So you won't be making all this money and you won't be in a high tax bracket probably. You kind of follow me? So you wait till later when you're retired and you're like, listen, I'm not making 150, 250 a year anymore as a family, or 450 or whatever it is you're making. I only need this much money to live off of, right? Or whatever, enjoy. So as I pull the money out, whatever you pull out is kind of like your income. You're in a lower tax bracket, so you pay less. So those are things you can do. Now, if you don't want to do any of that, you could just invest in stocks and bonds regularly outside of a retirement fund. But the retirement fund gives you that tax advantage. And they only let you put so much in also, depending on the situation. So, but you need to take advantage of that, at least that minimum. Do it. That the IRAs, the government allows you to put at your age, I think it's $5,500. It might be up to $6,000 now. We can look that up later. $5,500 a year or $6,000 a year, which is roughly $500 a month. Now, I know right now you're like, $500 a month, that's a ton. No, it's not. It is now because you're either not working or you're working at Panera for
16, 20.
Oh, wow, that's really good, actually. For 16, 20 and out, putting away $500 a month now sounds kind of sketchy. A little difficult. Not to mention the fact you probably need that money now. I'm talking about when you get a paycheck and your paycheck rolls in and you're making $4,000 a month or $5,000 a month. You're like, oh yeah, 10% of 5,000, $500, I can do that. Or if you're really killing it. Originally, when I did it, I think the Roth IRAs, you were allowed to put $3,000 a month in. I'm sorry, $3,000 a year was the max you could put in. So I divided that by 12, and that's what I put in. And then when I got tenured after 3 years, I think it was, we got this bonus, and I was like, I'm living okay without it. Why don't we just put all of that in as well? So I have just been pushing that money in and not buying brand new cars, which is a terrible investment. I'm not saying you might not need that or you might have the money to do it. But my thinking has always been, I'm going to give to charity first or whatever. I'm going to tithe that money first. I'm going to put retirement in second. And then whatever we have left, we're going to enjoy it, pay the bills. If there's extra, we'll enjoy it, whatever. But the point is this. Here's people's mistake. And you'll see this firsthand. Exponential growth looks something like this, doesn't it? Okay. Now let's just say that this is the end of your growth period. This is at the end. This is you at 22. This is you 40 years later at 62. Right? So this is a 10-year increment. So you're pounding this money away, right? And it's growing exponentially. And by the way, yes, if you look at the stock market and you grab any 40-year window in history, and I think I have a little link for you to do this. You can grab any 40-year window in history. And if you look at the average rate of return, it's averaged no lower than like 10-ish and no higher than like 14-ish over any 10 years. That's including inserting World War II in there, inserting the Great Depression, inserting the Great Recession. Any 40-year window, doesn't matter. You put it in there, you're going to average about a 10 to a 14% return. Hopefully it'll be about 14 for you, but it might be about 10. I've gone through 2 major recessions, one in 91, one in 99, and then the other one that was brutal in 2007. But even then, right before the market blew up, and they've done movies about this, many actually, I've seen at least 2. Right before the market blew up in 2008, I was holding stock that was worth about 144 a share. I remember this clear. It dropped to 66. So literally half of my net worth, half of the 17 years I had invested was gone. Over half. 140 something actually went to 66.6, which is a little scary. Anyway, you know what it is now? 432. So basically it went from 140 to 66.6 in 6 months. And then now it's at 430. It's still almost tripled. No, it has 30, 40. Yeah, it's tripled in 15 years since that spot in 2008, 14 years since 2008. So your money's going to grow. If you do it, you're going to see this. But here's the problem people make. They hit 22 and they're like, man, I signed my contract or whatever. I got this job with this guy. I've been driving this crappy car and wearing these crappy clothes. And I've always wanted a Rolex. And man, my friends are going skiing up in British Columbia. And you want to do all these things, which is great. You want to do that stuff. And you go, I'll start investing in a couple of years. But the problem with that is this. If you start investing at 22, it's not sexy. For the first 10 years, you're going to look up after 10 years and you're going to go like, man, I've been doing all this saving and all this sacrifice. My investments have hardly grown a bit. You're going to look up in another 10 years and go, well, I'm seeing some growth, but it's still not that great. Then you're going to look up at about my age and go, yeah, I'm actually starting to see some growth. And then you're going to look up at 62 and go, holy freaking moly. And you're going to feel really good about it. But here's the problem with the guy who waits. If I wait just 5 years and start investing when I'm 27, right? Then here's where I am at 37, 47, 27, 37, 47, 57. This would be 67. So here's 62. If I just wait 5 years, then essentially what I'm giving up is about what?
Half.
Well,
Not half.
probably not half, but close to a third. And here's the thing. That third, we're talking 500 a month. We're talking, you're giving up 30 grand in investment for maybe $1 million in retirement. Is that really a wise investment? It's bizarre that people would do that. Look at this if you just waited 10 years. Oh my gosh, I had a friend who's probably 47 now. He's a little younger than me. And I remember asking him at 42, so where do you have your investments in? He goes, oh man, we just got it in our house. And we really haven't got started on that. I'm like, oh my gosh. He's 42. If he started that day at 42, at 62, that's going to be him at 6. Yes, he's going to have to go to 82 to have what I would have at 62 at the same, if he had the same investment strategy and was putting in the same monthly amount. And and you'll see these numbers and they'll blow you away. You're like, wait a minute, you're telling me I can do this and have that? Yeah, well, there's all kinds of other factors to come into play, but yeah, statistics are statistics. Any 40-year window in history, which is what you're dealing with. Now, I've got an accountant who deals with an LLC I have who is 82. And I'm like, how much longer are you going to go? He goes, I don't think I'll ever come in here. It's just it's been kind of institutionalized. You know, I've been here so long. It's just kind of what I do. I wouldn't even know what to do if I stayed at home. He is 82 and still going. At 82? Yeah, this guy might have to go 62, 72. At 82, he'd be there. But think of where you would be at 82. I mean, your exponential curve is out of the roof. Are you with me? And listen, there's some point, like right now, I younger people who make extravagant purchases. Like I've got some younger friends that we have in our church that are like, I don't know, 27. I give them a bad time if I look down and see them wearing a Rolex. I'm like, that's a great watch. Man. I wonder what that would be at retirement. If you had invested that 12 grand compounded interest, and I'll show you the numbers on it. You'll be blown away. And you're like, 12 grand is a lot of money for a watch. And it's cool. And it does make a statement about who you are, maybe if you're into that, or depending on who you deal with. I mean, it's not going to make a statement to your plumber, maybe. But I mean, well, actually, that's not true because my plumber has a house in Seagrove. He does really, really well for himself. You know, he absolutely kills it. Yeah, he has 5 crews. And when I call him, he's like, Tim, man. And I do most of my plumbing work, but if it's ever something like a gas water heater, I'm like, I don't like messing with gas. I don't want to blow my house up. I'll call him in and he'll do something. But he'll be like, dude, I might be able to get in there next Friday. I'm like, it's Monday. Dude, I'm slammed. I mean, he can't hire enough people and get the work that he has done on time. It's just too much. I mean, so yeah, if you're like, I don't really know what to do with myself, and look into plumbing, you make a killer. Especially if you have a good personality like he does. I mean, he is tatted up, got a big ponytail. He's cruised up in my house on a $60,000 Harley before. I mean, the dude does really well for himself, down to earth, would lay down in traffic to get the stuff done. I mean, really great guy. And he's totally free from the man. He is the man. So whatever. But anyway, my point is you can do really well, but if you don't get your money in early and you wait 10 years, you are looking at your retirement not being worth much at all. Like I kid people like who come in with coffee every day or maybe 2 coffees a day. And I ask them, I'm like, if you put $5 a day, I had a girl who came in here and this was 15 years ago. Emily, dang it, what was her last name? Molly and Emily Williams. Emily Williams. The Williams family, they're older now and probably retired, but they were both doctors in the community. But she would come in with this like Kappa Frappa Latte, whatever, from O. Henry's every single day. And I was like, what does that cost? $6.50, which means now it's probably $8. But it was this massive venti or grande or whatever they call it. This huge thing with foam and caramel, whatever, every day. And I was like, let's use you as an example. So, I mean, every day she had when she walked in here. So we did the math on it. So 21 school days that she had one. I don't know if she got one on Saturday and Sunday, but it was $120 a month she was spending. So we ran the numbers on a $120 a month at age 17 through retirement. What would she have? And it was in the millions of dollars. The millions of dollars. Now, if I do that now at 54, what's my retirement window? 10 years? So let's back it back up. Stuff that I spend right now, I'm giving up the money that I spend. But if I retired 10 years from now full time, like at 62, or even 20 years from now, it's not costing me as much to spend stuff now at 54, right? Because it's just doesn't have enough time to grow. So that's what the problem is with starting late. Putting money in late, it's okay and it's great, but you're just not going to see the growth rate that you would if you put it in early.
Did she keep bringing the coffee after that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, and she's a nurse, and she actually lives, great, very awesome story. Her husband's in, like, I want to say he's a pastor, and they moved into a inner city Memphis community. And Memphis is rough, dude. Like it's worse than Birmingham. Inner city Memphis, they live there in this community just to minister to the community. So she's kind of giving her life away. I doubt she drinks $6 Venti Latte coffee, whatever those are. All right. So anyway, no homework on this. We'll just kind of fluidly move through this stuff. But anyway, if there's anything I've implanted on you today, it's when you get done Make every sacrifice on the planet you can to ensure that you're at the very minimum packing that retirement fund early and often, especially through those first 10 years.
Why do you spend more than like $5?
I have no idea. I make my own copy. I bet that I can count on both hands. Here's, I bet I can count on both hands how many times I bought copies from school.
That's right.
Maybe 8 or 9 times. Now me, my wife buys all the time.
I'm gonna invest solely in my comedy and YouTube career. Yeah, that's an exponential growth right there. Exponential funny.
It's such good water. It's got the minerals.
You know money. They may or may not. I don't know. No, you're the one who's like. And then when it comes around, well, it's just.
I don't know, but it's at home.
Because it's fun. And then go to it.
I'll definitely go. I didn't go to the park. I don't think anyone was. I'm watching Jayhawks. They play a session.
Good morning, Homewood High School. Happy Friday, everyone. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please pause for a moment of silence. These are the 6 attributes of the Homewood Spirit. Respect yourself, others, and the environment. Make good choices, even when no one is watching. Celebrate uniqueness. Everyone is different. Words matter. Think before you speak. Seek ways to serve others and do your personal best and legacy. All right, Tammy. I got a lot of congratulations to throw around this morning. Both boys and girls soccer teams dominating performances last night, the first round of playoffs. So congratulations to both teams. Something we'll be thinking of our track team as their regionals today and tomorrow over in Tuscaloosa. And shout out to boys and girls golf, both advancing in the next round of state playoffs. So very exciting stuff. And not to mention, next week is an area tournament for our softball team. So wishing them the best as well. So that brings me to what my 2 words for today would be. My 2 words would be good sportsmanship. Good sportsmanship. Students, I am so thankful to those of you that are able to show up and support our teams. The noise is great, but I'd always remind you of, being mindful of what you're shouting or encouraging. Certainly want to be supportive of our team, but want to be good sports as well. I guess it kind of helps to be a good sport when you win, but you always have to be a good sport regardless of the outcome. Something to think about. And in the category of random thoughts, in the world of Sonic the Hedgehog, I think Tails is the best character in Sonic. You might think differently. Let me know if you see me in the hallway. All right, let's make it a great day. Go Patriots.